Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back again outside the squared circle. I'm Frank. That's Dennis. He got himself a nice outside the squared circle t-shirt, showing it off. So comment and tell me what you guys think about that. But we're gonna go ahead and get started, man. We had a beautiful 2 days of boxing on Friday the 12th and Saturday the 13th. So I'll go ahead and start off with the Beterbiyev versus Alexander the Great Johnson fight. I was actually at that event live. I was at the Lara fight live. So I had a really different perspective than seeing it on TV. With the Beterbiyev fight, man, it was you could tell there was a lot of built up tension just in the ring. Beterbiyev looked very wound up for some reason, which was weird because the last time I saw him fight, he looked a lot more fluid than he did. Johnson caught him with some really good shots. I remember him landing more than a handful of really flush, straight right hands in that fight. Beterbiev was just a better man. He did what he had to do and got him out of there. I forget what round it was. He looked pretty good. But to be honest with you, I really think he's ready for either Stevenson or Kovalev. I think his power at 175 is going to give anybody fits. I think he has a really good jab. I just think he needs to be a little bit more active. Maybe move his head a little bit more. But at this point, I think he has a better chance at beating Stevenson than he does Kovalev, because I think Kovalev is more well rounded, and I think he's the best fighter in the division. But I think Beterbiev versus Stevenson would be a really good fight. What do you think about that fight, Dennis?
I enjoyed that fight. I watched Beterbiev dominate the fight, and I think he's a great fighter. I just be a little bit active, be a little bit more active using the jab. I don't want him to rely on his power so much.
Yeah.
We all know the guy. It's like he can hit a ton. You know what I mean? But I don't want him to rely on that to be his sole purpose for winning fights. Because you got a guy like Kovalev that can actually box. If you want to beat him, you're gonna have to be a complete package type of guy.
Right.
But with that being said, I would definitely like to see Beterbiev fight either Kovalev or Adonis Stevenson. But I want to see Adonis Stevenson versus Kovalev. That fight is long overdue.
Of course.
And the fight I want to see, I want there to be a very great test. And I think the winner should get the winner of that fight. I would love to see Fonfora versus Beterbiev. And that winner of that fight should get a chance to fight either Kovalev or Adonis. I definitely think that fight right because I thought at the Fonfora he even gave Adonis a good fight.
He did
first time around. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
Not saying that Chavez Jr. was anywhere. He's not even a top 168 pound guy. So
right.
He's definitely not a top 175 pound guy. But I definitely didn't expect him to go in there and be able to stop Chavez.
No.
So with that being said, you know what I mean? He definitely earned himself a chance to get back in there for a title fight. So Beterbiev versus Fonfora, that's a fight I would love to see next. And then from there, whoever wins, that definitely deserve a title shot.
I agree. I actually didn't even think of that as being a possibility. I think that's a really good idea. But moving on to the Lara fight versus Delvin Rodriguez. You know, it was funny, being there live, I knew what to expect. We know Lara isn't a knockout artist. We know he has power. He chooses his punches. He knows when to throw and when not to throw. You'd like to see him throw a little bit more. But as the fight wore on, a lot of people started booing. And I was laughing. I was thoroughly entertained, but I think it was an expectation thing. I knew Lara wouldn't get him out of there unless it was just with one shot. And he did get him down a few times. But even when he has his opponent hurt, he doesn't like to take chances. He's a very defensive guy.
That's not who he is.
Right, exactly. That's just in his nature. So, I mean, but just being there in person, man, seeing him box, he is an absolute master boxer. I mean, he's the definition of hit and don't get hit. His straight left hand is so crisp. Every time it landed, you just heard the thud and you saw the sweat fly. So I was thoroughly entertained. I have a little bit more of appreciation for the technical side of things than a lot of people that were around me and probably were in the at the UIC pavilion. But with even all that being said, they should have. They bought tickets to this fight. Most of them did. So it's like, what did you really expect out of an Lara fight? But outside of that, I thought he looked great. I thought he looked really good. I tried to give Delvin Rodriguez around. I don't like shutouts. I like to give people at least a round or two out of pity. He did nothing in that fight. And it wasn't for lack of trying, because he did hit Lara with a few good right hands when Lara did decide to open up. And that's probably why Lara didn't open up, because he did get hit the few times that he did. But moving on, I think a really good fight to be made for Lara is moving up and fighting Gennady Golovkin. He called him out afterwards. I think just because Cotto and Canelo is going to be made at the end of this year, and that's the top two targets for Gennady Golovkin, I think that would be a really, really good fight for Gennady Golovkin. I think that fight favors Golovkin because it allows him to come forward for most of the fight, which is what his strength would be, and he'd be fighting a little bit smaller of a guy in Arislandi Lara. What do you think about the fight, and what do you think should be next for Lara?
Well, I definitely can't argue about anything you said, because everything you said, I share your sentiments. Lara is a master boxer. He was smooth, slick. He did what Lara does.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing I can say about this fight, because that's what I expected to happen. So it's not like I can talk about anything that I didn't really necessarily expect to see, or there was nothing that had happened amazing other than Lara another day at the office.
Yeah.
That's what he does best. But I did. That's what I was gonna say too. Why GGG is gonna have to wait, because I think they're gonna offer him step aside money. But he's gonna be. But because I know HBO, I was told that HBO only reason they even showed the D. Gale versus Cotto fight was because he promised to fight Canelo next.
Right. So I remember that too.
It's pretty much a done deal that's going to happen, So with that being said, I think Lara is definitely a great test for GGG, given the fact that GGG had a little problem. I ain't going to say problem, but the guy
he gave him fits,
had more
for sure.
Success. He definitely had more success against GGG, being a slicker boxer than other people did.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about a slicker, absolute slick boxer like Lara, who doesn't really get hit a lot? That's going to definitely challenge GGG to try to cut the ring off. But we're going to see he's going to have a great Golovkin's going to have a great night of cutting off the ring and making sure he protects himself, because he will get picked apart. Like I said, nobody's going to expect Lara to stop Golovkin. That's not going to happen. But he can outscore him. So I think that's a great fight, because that we will have to see Golovkin come out there and show his actual boxing skills, as opposed to can he knock a guy out, which we've seen him do time and time again. I think Delvin Rodriguez continues to be he'll just go on to be a strong contender, but I don't expect anything special out of him.
Right. I agree. Delvin is who he is. He's a slightly big name on a resume. As for what's next for him, I'm really not sure. He's gonna continuously be on undercards, I think, after this, or like lower undercards. But as far as, before we move on to the next fight, as far as the Lara and the Gennady Golovkin fight, I think what makes that fight so intriguing is that it's an extreme clash of styles. You got someone who comes forward, who's very good at cutting off the ring, and who's hittable. And then you got a guy who's very slick, who's very precise, and who moves a lot. So I think it has all the beings of the boxer versus puncher, classic matchup. I think that's really good. To move on to the Deontay Wilder and Eric Molina fight, man, boy, was I wrong about my prediction. Boy, was I wrong about my prediction. I thought Wilder was just gonna overwhelm him early, third, fourth, maybe fifth round, and get him out of there. But Molina had heart, man. He fought to win for sure. He was clearly overmatched. He's not as good as Wilder is, but he didn't come to lose that fight. He tried. He gave it his all, and he left everything out in the ring. A few of the things that I noticed though, in taking notes on the fight, was that Wilder's jab is great. He has a very good jab, and he's really good at controlling the distance. But the problem that I have with him is that he doesn't throw to the body enough. Now, I don't want him, I don't need him throwing crazy left hooks like a Miguel Cotto. Jab to the body. throw your straight right hand to the body. Give the guy you're fighting something to think about. Because even the commentators were touching on it earlier in the fight that he was telegraphing his right hand upstairs. Because he was. It was just jab, right hand, jab, right hand. And then the very second he starts throwing his left hook, he knocks him down. You know what I mean? He hit him with that left hook, hurt him, knocked him down, and then he started opening his way with his right hand. So I really want Wilder to start varying his arsenal of punches a little bit more, just to make it easier on him. I also thought he was a bit too calculated. He let Molina get confidence, especially after that knockdown. I mean, I thought he could have pressed the action a little more and got him out of there. But even that being said, which is kind of a contradiction, what I'm about to say, is that I've noticed this in other Wilder fights too, is that he gets really, really wild when he's trying to get his opponent out of there. Like when he's going in for the kill, he gets really, like he's very open, and I don't think that would bode well for him against a really good veteran fighter like maybe a David Haye if he makes a comeback. You know what I mean? If you never want to get that wide open, even if your opponent's hurt and you know you can knock him out because you can get caught with a good counter shot that way. But other than that, Wilder did what he had to do. Molina had his moments. Molina fought his heart out. As far as what's next, man, I think Deontay Wilder has to fight Povetkin. I would have loved him to fight Tyson Fury, but seeing as that the Klitschko and Fury fight's going to be made, I really think the most intriguing fight, I even said it a few weeks ago on a few of the forums that I post on, I think Povetkin versus Wilder is the best fight to be made in the heavyweight division. What do you think about the fight?
Wilder came out there and he started off nice by
Yeah.
controlling the distance. And that's when he was at his best, by controlling the distance with his nice long jab. One thing I like to see, that left hand. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he had a left hand like that. He was throwing that left hand out there, that left hook, and he tagged him a few times with it. That's something new that I seen, and I like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But another Eric Molina. The thing I didn't understand, when he hurt Wilder, he backed off of him. And I don't know if it was for the fact, I don't know if he didn't know if he hurt him or if he was just afraid that, okay, if I come in for the kill, I can also get myself knocked out.
I think it was more of that. I think he was more afraid to get himself too open because there's no way he didn't notice he was hurt. He did the stanky leg in the middle of that ring. Everyone knew Wilder was hurt.
And I didn't, but that's what I'm saying. I didn't understand why he didn't go, because that's the hurtest that he have. That's the hurtest, the most hurt that Deontay Wilder had ever been in a fight. And that was if he had any chance to win, it was at that very moment. That was at the moment that he should have went in and threw caution to the wind and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna try to get this guy out of here." That's what should have took place. You see, when you going against a guy as athletic, strong as Deontay Wilder, anytime that you get a leg up to take advantage of the fight or to can possibly get him out of that win, you take it, because as you can see, you see how it ended. So you don't ever be afraid that he can KO, he can stop, because they can happen at any moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you take your chances on that. That's what I got to say about that. But Eric Molina was at his best when he was getting inside. And when he was able to get in there and hit Wilder, he did a very good job. But he just couldn't quite seem to close the distance more than he needed to. But Wilder, like it's to say, he did get a little bit wild. And I think that was for it seemed like sheer frustration of wanting to get the guy to that. I think he knocked him down so many times, and the guy showed a lot. Eric Molina showed so much heart by continually being able to get up. And after he got up, I think Wilder just showed a little bit of frustration and said, "Hey, I want to get this guy out of here," because I know Wilder thought he was going to get the guy out of there by the fourth round. So lingering on to the seventh round, he started getting a little bit wild. But I don't know if that's to say that he would do that against a seasoned fighter like David Haye or Povetkin. Hopefully he won't, because if he does, he'll definitely pay for it.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was just showing a little bit of frustration trying to get him back, because he definitely did get sloppy and wild. He can be countered when it happens. With that being said, Wilder did exactly what he's supposed to do, which was get the stoppage, because I'm the type of person that's like this. I actually enjoy, and I think it's good for Wilder, when he have tough fights and he's just not knocking guys out in the second
Right.
or third round. These are the type of fights that build character. These are the fights that is going to help him down the road when he's having a tough fight with a Povetkin or a Klitschko. When you can't just knock a guy out of there, you got to dig deep and be able to pull a decision out. He needs more of these wins. Like the first time he ever went 12 rounds with Stavern, his last fight. So he needs more of these tough, hard fights. It's going to build him. And so I actually like to see that out of him, and I like that he was able to carry his power into the later rounds. Because some guys, as the later rounds go, they get tired and they're not able to hit as hard.
Right.
And he was still able to hit just as hard in the first round as he was in the 8th round. So that's one thing that I like to see. But with that being said, Povetkin versus Wilder, I can't wait to see that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen in Russia or America. I think it probably depends on if it goes to purse bid or not. But I'm hearing that Povetkin people have very deep pockets. So, but you know what? Deontay Wilder's with Heyman, so I think they'll probably lose that purse bid. Just thinking about it. But if it does go. But with that being said, Eric Molina, you know who I would like to see him fight? I would like to see him fight either Andy Ruiz Jr. or Chris Arreola. I think that would be a good fight for him, because Chris Arreola is trying to build himself back up as a comeback and try to put himself back in championship contention. And Andy Ruiz Jr. is trying to get himself to championship contention for the first time.
Right.
And this is a guy that fought the champion and did a heck of a job, like we said, in hurting the champion. So I don't think it can hurt either one of them if they fought Eric Molina next.
All right, so moving on to the Nicholas Walters versus Miguel Marriaga fight. I thought it was a really good fight early on. And going back to what I said about the Arislandi-Lara fight with the expectations, the first 6 rounds were very tactical and very good, but I just really wasn't expecting that. So I wouldn't say I was a bit bored. It just didn't live up to my expectations at first. Because, I mean, you got these 2 dudes who are very, very strong, who fought before in the amateurs. They have a bit of a background. So you're expecting, after the first few feel-out rounds, by round 2 or 3, they're ready to go. They're throwing bombs at each other. But it was a lot more tactical in the first half of the fight than I thought it would be, but still very entertaining. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there, man. Nicholas Walters is the best 126-pounder out there, in my opinion. He's just so well-rounded. His body attack is good. He has power in both hands. He's a good finisher. I mean, there's really not much he can do. His jab's very good. And the thing I noticed about him in the first 6 rounds is that he was setting up Marriaga with those left hooks to the body for later on in the fight, because once round 7 and round 8 got there, when those right hands up top started really landing for Walters, I mean, his arsenal started to just get let go. He dominated that second half of the fight. He just absolutely took over. The other thing I have to comment on, though, is I think Walters' chin is amazing. Marriaga hit him with some pretty big overhand rights throughout that fight, and he didn't even budge. Now, I don't know if this is because the size difference was decently substantial. I mean, Walters is a pretty big guy for 126. But whether it was that or not, he was eating those like he liked them. So I mean, I don't know. I really hope for Walters, or for the fans' sake, that Walter can stay at 126, because I really want to see him fight Lomachenko and Gary Russell and all the dudes at 126. But I just don't know if he can do it, man. He's huge at 126. He might have to move up to 130. I think he might even end his career one day at 147. His build is pretty big. And I know a lot of people say, well, no one's really at 130 or 135. Well, maybe he can just be that guy who stays at 130 or 135 and just reigns there for his career. You know what I mean? He can do something like that. But as far as Marriaga, man, I'm excited to see him back in the ring again, because as much as I was just upping Walters, Marriaga can fight. I mean, he was there to win the fight, especially that first half. I think the body shots wore him down once the second half got there, but Marriaga's a very, very good fighter. He's in the mix as a top 5, top 10, 126-pounder himself. I mean, him against maybe a Mares, him against, a Gary Russell would be a very, very good fight. But the one thing I noticed is that HBO was actually being really biased in their telecast for that fight. I don't know if you thought so too, but I thought that first half of the fight was very, very close. I thought there was only a few rounds in that first half that were solidified for a certain fighter, but I had it 3-3 after 6. I thought it was really close, and if it kept at that pace, I thought it would have been a draw or a 115-113 type of decision. But Walters did eventually, take over from round 7 on. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the fight, man. What did you think about the fight, Dennis?
Once again, I thought what you thought.
Hmm.
All I can do is just give my perspective on it. Harold Letterman scorecards, I even was like, whoa.
I think he only gave him 2 rounds, right?
He had all 4, like, I remember the 4th round, he said, like, the 5th round, he said he had all 4 rounds for Walters, and I was like,
I thought round 2. I thought round 2.
3-1.
Yeah, I thought round 2 was a clear Marriaga round. I don't know if you remember round 2 vividly, but I thought it was clear for Marriaga.
Walters came back and caught up, and then started taking over. As the fight progressed, he started showing that he was the better fighter, the bigger, better, stronger fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, I even remember Mario. He hurt Walters. He hit him. I'm not. I don't know. I don't want to say hurt, but he definitely caught his attention.
Yeah, he stunned him. Yeah, Walters, I do remember that.
Yeah, he recovered very fast. That's something that you can tell when a guy's in great shape. That's when they're able to recover from punches very well and very quickly. But all I can do is just talk about the fact that I really just I really want to see him stay at 126 too. You got Lomo, you got Gary Russell Jr. You even have Leo Santa Cruz who moved up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You have Mares. You have way too many.
And hopefully Rigondeaux moves up too. I'd love to see Rigondeaux move up and fight some of those guys.
And just say he moves up. Just way too many fights that can be had up there. I mean, he moves to one. Like I said, 135. That's a few names up there because Gamboa moved down to 135. So you have a few names at 135, but at 130, I'm not too clear who's dominate that division. Who's the leading guy. So if he does go up there, I would look forward to the X-Men to definitely be the lineal champ at 130. I mean, I know that's like, wow, that's a lot to say right now. He's not even fought one fight there, but he just, the guy, he's so big, he's so strong, and he can fight.
Right.
So I definitely
his technical ability is through the roof.
Right. I would not put that past him. The guy can take a punch. You know what I mean? It's only thing is, it seems that sometimes that he can take a little bit while to get going.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't have any problems with him. So I just hope that he can stay down for a little. I hope this is just a one-time incident and he can stay down there for a little bit longer, just so we can see some of those amazing fights. But if he can't, hey, I'll definitely watch him at 130 too, because he's an exciting fighter to watch.
Absolutely. And actually a perfect segue into a little bit on Felix Verdejo. I think that could be a really good fight in the future at maybe 130 or 135 between Walters and Verdejo. Obviously, it's a little bit premature on Verdejo's part. He's still a prospect. He still has a lot of things learning. But he looked pretty impressive tonight. I know you said you didn't catch the fight. I actually didn't catch a lot of the fight either. I saw the first 4 rounds and then the Wilder fight came on. So I was like, well, gotta go. Time to watch. Right. Time to watch Deontay Wilder. But from what I did see from Verdejo, his check left hook is really good. He's really calculated. I think as his career goes down, he's not going to get as many knockouts because he is very calculated. He doesn't like to take too much risk. But I do think that a Walters and Verdejo fight is a huge possibility down the line. And even looking.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, yeah, what's up?
I've been drawing the blank. Who has the IBF title at 126? I know Walters did have the WBA. Lomo had the WBO.
Isn't it Leo? Does Leo have the IBF? I thought he had a belt. I thought he had a strap.
Leo had it at 120. He had it at 120. He just moved up.
Oh, see, I'm telling you, 122, really, like 118 to 126 is all the same to me. Like, it's so hard for me to differentiate.
One division.
Right, it's all one division to me. Like, it's so hard for me to differentiate, especially when it comes to the alphabet belts.
Anyway, guys, this is something you guys do. If you guys know, we definitely look at the comments. Tell us We're students of the game.
Oh
We
wait,
don't know.
didn't
We don't know
Did Gary
everything.
Russell win that? Did Gary Russell win that against
Gary Russell Jr. won the WBC against
That's right.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's right. Cause he won the WBC off Mares, right?
Right, and he took it. So Gary Russell Jr. took it from him.
Took it from him. Yeah. Yeah, we like Dennis said, guys. Leave a comment at the bottom because now I usually don't like to Google stuff. I'm gonna Google it afterwards to find out, but just in case you guys like want to jog your brain and see if you guys know it off the top of your head, go ahead and comment. But now I'm really interested to see who the IBF holder is at 126. But there's so many matchups to be made. I really hope Rigondeaux moves up because 122 isn't as big as it was once he beat Donaire and people moved up.
Down there, to be honest.
No, honestly, no one might even fight him at 126. Rigondeaux is so dangerous. He's just
I think at 126, some of those guys will have to. I don't think Lomo would back down from Rigondeaux.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, right. You might be right. You could be right, but just the thing that's so dangerous about Rigondeaux is that it's not a big paycheck. You know, he's so hard to look good against. Even if you pull out a win, there's going to be so many people who say you lost anyway because that's how good Rigondeaux. I can never see Rigondeaux in a fight in which he's been blown out in. You know what I'm saying? He just does so much so well. He would
have to be stopped.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. He'd have to get stopped. He'd have to get just knocked out cold. He's just so good at what like a fight between him and Lomachenko would be a hardcore boxing fan's dream. Like I'm dying to see that fight.
Exactly.
Just two technical dudes getting it on. I mean, I think that would be awesome. But it's just all up to Rigondeaux and how much he really wants to move up. I know he doesn't really. I think he only weighs like 125 or 126 going into his fights at 122. You know, he's not that big of a guy, which is a shame.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there was another edition of Outside the Squared Circle. As you've seen the shirts, hey, get a good look. They will be coming soon. You're gonna see fighters with them and everything. But right now, I just want you guys to share, like, subscribe. Please, this is the reason why we do this. We do this for you guys. We love you. Comment, let us know what you think. We're gonna keep doing this every time out. We'll be hitting you next week with an interview from somebody we don't know who, but we always gonna keep giving you top interviews and bring you the best news and updates and predictions. We're even gonna be coming pretty soon with Outside the Dialogue. We're gonna have a dialogue about different things. That you guys can enjoy listening to and you can even join in on. So thank you guys. God bless you.